Hello and welcome to Number Talk. Today we're looking at the expression 42 times 4 and we're going to solve it mentally. No paper, no pencil. In a Number Talk, we look at not only how to find the answer, but the different solutions and strategies that we can use to solve these problems mentally. So go ahead and let's pause the video. You're going to solve 42 times 4, but keep in mind which strategy you used. When you have your answer in your strategy, unpause the video, and then we will look at all the different ways that we can use mental math to solve 42 times 4. So one way that we can solve 42 times 4 is we can use the distributive property. And this is going to be very helpful for us. We're going to take our 42 times 4, we're going to use the distributive property multiple times. We're going to break apart our 42, and we're going to cut it in half. We're going to say it's really 21 plus 21. And we're just going to do two smaller sets of multiplication, find some partial products. So we're going to distribute this 4, multiply it by both 21s. So really it's 4 groups of 21 here. So that's going to be 84. We're going to take another 4 groups of 21. That's going to be 84. And now we put them both together, 84 and 84, 168. So hopefully that's the answer you got. Let's find another way to do that, using the distributive property again. But instead of taking our 42 and cutting it in half, let's break up our 42 by place value. Let's say 40 plus 2. We're really going to look at it like it's the expanded form. And we're still going to distribute this 4 and multiply it by both add-ins to get partial products. So we're going to take 40. We're going to multiply that by 4, so that's 160. And then we're going to take our 2 that's left over, multiply that by 4. And that's really easy. There's no regrouping necessary. 160 plus 8 still gets us our 168. Another really cool way that we could solve this is doubling and halving. So we're going to take our 42 times 4, and we're going to double one of our add-ins and halve the other one. So what I want to do is I want to take this 42 and I want to cut it in half. So I'm going to take it down to 21. Now in order, so you notice I've taken this 21 here, gotten rid of it. But in order to keep a balanced expression, what we need to do is we need to take this 4, and since I cut the other one in half, I need to double it. So that's why I've got 2 4s. Now I've got 8. So doubling and halving works if you take one factor and double it in the other factor and you cut it in half, and I'm going to get 21 times 8, and that's going to get me 168 once again. Another strategy we can use is the associative property. Now the associative property here lets us change the grouping. So let's take our 42 times 4. And let's look at it a different way. We're going to take our 42 and let's cut it in half again. Let's do that 21 times 2, just like we did. So that 42 is really 21 times 2. And once you get 3 or more factors, you can use the associative property. If you use addition, you can do it when you have 3 or more add-ins. And you're just going to shift the grouping. So instead of grouping 21 times 2, watch this. I'm going to keep my factors completely the same. But I'm going to shift the grouping to where it's now 2 times 4. So 21 groups of 2 times 4. And that's what I have listed here. Now these little connectors mean that this should all be one really long column. I just ran out of room. My screen is not big enough. So really I've got 2 columns, 1, 2. So I've got 2 different groups. Each of these groups have got 4. So these are going to be groups of 8. And so if I just do 21 groups of 8, that's really what I'm doing. And this continues down here and continues down here. And 21 groups of 8 still going to get me my 168. But that's one way to use the associative property. Another way is to take our 42 times 4. And we're just going to break it up a slightly different way. Instead of 21 and 2, let's break it down to something a little bit easier to manage, 7 times 6. And once again, we're going to keep our factors the same, but what we're going to do is we're going to shift the grouping. So instead of 4 groups of 7 times 6, we're going to say, you know what, I want 7 groups of 6 times 4. But, you know what, I don't want to do 6 groups of 4. I'd rather do 4 groups of 6. That's a little bit less drawing on my side. So that is why we have the commutative property. That is the order property that lets me swap the order of factors in a multiplication problem. So really it's 7 groups of 4 times 6. So look at, I've got 4 groups of 6. So I've got 1, 2, 3. There's my 4 groups of 6 right there. So that's 24. And then I've got 7 of those groups of 24. And guess what happens if you take your 7 and you multiply it by 24? You are going to get the same number. You're going to get your 168. So those are just a few ways that you can solve the expression 42 times 4. If you found another way, that's fantastic. Go ahead and drop that as a comment on the video. Teachers, if you would like a copy of this slide deck for your own use, you can find it on my website, 5minutemath.net.